Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Boone County Cryptids, where we chase the country's most chilling cryptid legends, one eerie encounter story at a time. Hey guys, thanks for being here and thank you for tuning in to Boone County Cryptids this week. We really appreciate it. The channel's starting to grow a little bit. We're a little over 200 subscribers, and I just want to thank everyone that's subscribed. We really appreciate y'all's support. I want to say thank you to our service members. Veterans Day was just a week or two ago. And just thank you guys for your service, and thank you for our first responders, police officers, firefighters. Thank you all for your service as well, because without you, we wouldn't be safe. And guys, I've got a really great guest today. His name's Renee. He's from Washington State. And guys, this is going to be a good episode. He's got some really great encounters. So without further ado, let's bring Renee into the studio.
Hey, Wyatt.
Hey, Renee. How are you, sir?
Fine as frog hair.
Split four ways. That's one of my favorite sayings, bud. Oh,
is it?
Yeah. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing just excellent so far.
Good. You getting ready for winter?
Every day.
Yep.
Well, I enjoy it coming on and seeing the snow and all, but about a month of pushing snow, I kind of get tired of it.
I can't say that I would blame you. Oh, that's got to out there where you're at. You get a lot more than we do down here in Arkansas. So.
Well, some years we do.
Yeah. I mean, we get snow. We get snow. Yeah, we get snow, but it's not like feet at a time. It's usually like at the most we'll get like 1 foot, and that'll be it. But
yeah. Well, I just wonder how much it affects the cryptids. When you get snow, if it makes them stay home a lot more.
That's a good question.
You can track them so easy.
Yeah, that's one of the best. Well, my dad sent me a track here in Harrison, where I live, and it's right beside a dumpster, and it was in the snow. So yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you that guy had game cameras around dumps. You get some pictures.
Well, I bet you would. I agree with that 100%.
Something. You'd get something.
Yeah.
Around here, used to be like open pit dumps, and there'd be bears all over the place. But nowadays,
really?
It's transfer station. You dump it in a building, and they push it into a trailer. And
gotcha.
Not like the old used to be. You could see 15 bears one night at a dump.
Really?
No, there's lots of bears around here, even grizzly.
Right.
And the north end of the county, there's caribou.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because it's Canada up there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're real close to the Canada border.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go out to Washington one of these days. It looks really pretty out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, every state's got a lot of pretty stuff. It's just all different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just a different kind of pretty.
But California, Oregon, and Washington, there's parts of each state that you couldn't tell you weren't in the other state because they're so similar.
Really?
The ocean or the high mountains or the hot country down in the flat, it's real similar. They have the same kind of ground in all three states.
Right.
But
yeah,
you got Bigfoot in all them climates. Even in the Mojave Desert, they see them out there.
Yeah.
Everywhere. They're not afraid to go in the desert or way up above the timberline. The people run into those things everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've heard of stories of them being in the desert, and you wouldn't think they'd be there, but, guess where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, yeah. You ain't stopping them.
No. That's for sure.
I wouldn't want to try.
No, I wouldn't want to have to. Because usually if there's one, there's usually, in our case that we normally have, we've got them on both sides of the lake most of the time when we're researching. So,
well, I would think there's probably usually a mama, a papa, and one or two kids.
Yeah.
Family group traveling together.
Yeah.
Unless Papa's out, specifically for a hunt by himself, or whatever.
Right.
I would think they work together all the time, wouldn't you?
I would say they'd have to probably. Safety in numbers.
Yeah. Well, you're just like farming. You train up the young ones to do what the older ones are doing, and they learn by doing it.
Right.
It
Yeah, I
makes
mean,
sense to me.
oh yeah, they've got to learn how to hunt some way, and in my opinion, I bet they forage for berries and stuff like that. So they've got to learn how to do that. And so
Well,
it'd have to be a
they're probably
family unit.
way better at it than humans too.
Uh, I'm sure.
I'll bet you, because I have to have it.
Right. Yep. Well, Renee, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of start going into some of your encounters that you've had?
Well, I'm pushing 70, and I started out down in California, and I spent about half my life logging down there, and I moved up
You there, buddy?
here and continued on. I still do some. Hello?
You kind of broke up there for.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Renee?
Yeah,
You
I hear
kind
you
of
fine.
you kind of broke up there for just a second, or maybe it
I'll
was
be
on my
darned.
end. Oh, so you're from
Can you hear me?
Washington? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm originally from Northern California, where the Cascades meet the Sierras.
Okay.
But I never had a clue these things were around. I figured everybody was just full of baloney, seeing things and drinking too much or something. But I had a couple things happen down there like 1990 when I was camping on a logging job. I was the only one staying on the job. Everybody else was commuting. And there was a haul road in and out of the job, went right past my camp. And on the other side of that road, there was a ravine, went up the hill and down to the creek. And one night, something came down that hill screaming bloody murder like a woman on fire. And another one came up the ravine at the same pace, and they met just across that haul road in that ravine opposite my camp at the same time. And God, that was a horrible scream. It was like somebody being just knifed to death or burned with a blowtorch. It was terrible.
Wow.
And when they met, they stopped screaming and they started breaking wood. And it sounded like 2x4 snapping, just all kinds of wood break. I never did go over there to see what it was. I didn't have any idea what might be, but I opened the door of my camper and told them, shut the hell up. And they did. They did.
They
And then
listened, huh?
it was quiet the rest of the night. And I didn't know what to think of it, It took me
Right.
years before I kind of started putting two and two together about some of the stuff I seen and heard. And one of them came back. I don't know. It was a week or two later. One night in the middle of the night, I was sleeping, and one of them came right up to my window and screamed just like that, just
Really?
right at the window. Oh man, I about jumped right jumped right through the ceiling. It scared me so bad.
I can imagine. Oh, that would definitely be scarier than being right beside your window.
And I had no idea what it was. Like I figured it had to have been a cat or something. I have no idea what the heck screamed like a woman like that, but that was loud. You know, I've heard cats screaming on videos and stuff, and nothing near that loud.
Right.
But later on, I don't know, it was a month or two later, I was coming home from church one night, headed back to camp, and I'm driving along in there 9 o'clock at night, and there's this big high embankment on my right side, just bare dirt, like 45-degree slope. And I'm doing 55 miles an hour, and this thing came running down that slope. I saw it in my peripheral vision, and it was moving. And it got down toward the highway, and I could tell it was hairy, and it was on four legs, but luckily there's no traffic coming. I straddled
Right.
the center line, and that thing hit my car so hard in the front, just like hitting a big oak tree, just boom. And
Wow.
it just kept right on going. It didn't even stop. As far as I could tell, it never missed a lick. It just kept right on running. And I thought, oh no, my car's done, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, I waited a few seconds to see if it was still prowling around out there. And I got out, my fender was crushed in against my tire. I had to pull it back, so it didn't cut my tire. And passenger doors all caved in, the fenders caved in, and the door frames bent in, and crap all down the side of the car. I just knocked the crap out of whatever it was. And I figured one of them, I think they might have been following me around, looking for a chance to mess with me, because we were logging out all the timber where they were living, because that place
Right.
where I was camping and logging, it's all fenced off and gated, and it's a lot of acreage, and nobody ever been allowed to do anything in there forever. That's kind of their little refuge, I think, in that area. There's a lot of ranches around there, and they were probably, taking goats and calves and things, and the
Right.
creek running through there would have water all the time and privacy. And I think they were just kind of mad at me, and I think that's why they targeted my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't prove nothing.
Or well, yeah, but I mean that's where most of the sightings occur when they happen is right on the road. So
Yeah, well, and then food and water right there nearby, plenty of it.
right.
And privacy, they had privacy. And behind up in there was all, I think, government land up above in the mountains. They're really
Yeah.
nobody going to mess with them in there. They
Right.
probably lived in there for they might have been in there for hundreds of years in that place till we went in there and logged it, and they might have moved out after that. Who knows? Because, they didn't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Who
Was
knows?
that virgin timber that you guys cut or
Oh, yeah. That stuff was 3 long logs in it, in
right?
every tree. Nice stuff. Some of the nice stuff I've ever worked in.
Gotcha.
But I think another thing that might have made him mad was there's this little flat spot where I set up camp beside the haul road, and there's this great big white oak tree, I don't know, 20, 30 foot tall. It was snapped off, and that thing was big. I mean, it must have been 6 or 8 foot in diameter, but it was hollow. It was like a
Right.
stovepipe. And I kind of wonder if they weren't sleeping in there during the daytime, because nobody'd ever
Could have
see
been.
them. I think they might have been mad because I was taking their spot.
Right.
Who
How
knows?
big around it? How big around did you say that log was, bud?
That broken tree was probably at least 6 foot wide, from one side to the other.
Right.
2 people could not get their arms around it. It'd take about 4 people.
Dang. A big old log.
That
Oh,
that was the first time I ever realized. It took me years to figure out what really went on. I figured I didn't know what that was, but I'm pretty sure I know what it was now.
right.
Because there ain't no bear. No bear's going to outrun a car doing 55 and hit it that hard and wreck the car, stop the car, and just keep right on going. That bear would be laying in the road,
Oh yeah.
probably biting at a broken shoulder or something, because whatever this was, I think I hit it right in the shoulder, in the left front shoulder with the front fender. I
Really.
think the only reason I did hit it was because I saw it coming. If I
Right.
hadn't have seen it, I think it would have just been a blur right past me, and it would have been gone in front of me. But I changed lanes, and I think that's why I hit it.
Gotcha.
I moved over to give it room, and that I was kind of leading it, like when you're leading a duck with a shotgun.
Right.
I was kind of going the same way he was there for just a second, and that's the only reason I got him. Whatever he was, I might have been a dogman. I don't know, but it
Yeah.
was. I mean, that thing was big and hairy, and it seems like it was dark brown or black,
Gotcha.
but it was kind of a blur. It was so fast, man. It was fast.
Now, could you make out any sort of a shape when it was coming down the hill at you?
It didn't seem to have a long body. You know, the front legs, back legs, or arms and legs, whatever. They just kind of seem like a blur underneath it. Like it was fairly compact, and it wasn't that high off the ground. Maybe 30, 40 inches. You know, its
Right.
back when it was round. But I know that nothing I ever seen in the woods could move like that, and
Right.
and hit it and be so solid that, you know, just wreck a car and just keep right on going.
Yeah. A
I
lot of the
think a bear
reports
would have been laying in that road there.
oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, a lot of the reports that you hear, they're some of them are like 4 and 5 feet wide, and they're built like a brick, you know what house. So
Oh
I mean,
yeah. Well, that's kind of this one that I seen it. This thing I saw in my driveway one night here a few years back. I went outside to. I thought it was my cat trying to get in the house. Woke me up in the middle of the night. I went and opened the door, and I think I said, "What, you stinking cat? Where are you?" And this thing had my garbage can. I had the brand new garbage can, plastic garbage can, brand new, not a scratch on it. I had the clear full, had the top tied shut with some twine, and this thing was hunched over my garbage can, had the twine untied. There was not a tooth mark or a scratch on that plastic anywhere, and the knot
wow,
was untied. The knot was untied. That was not a bear,
no,
and it was all I could see was a gigantic jet black ball of hair, just like the size of a Volkswagen Bug. You know, not
right,
not as tall, but as wide. Just great, way bigger than a trash can. Probably you put 3 trash cans together, laying on the ground. That's about how big this thing seemed to me.
dang,
And you know, your perceptions can change when you're kind of shocked or whatever. You know, you just kind of get an impression because it happens so fast. Well, same way with the thing that hit my car, man. It was so fast. You really don't have time to measure anything. You know, it's just like, wow, it's gone.
right,
But this thing was weird. It had hair that looked fake, like a real cheap fake wig, but it was
yeah,
like 6 inches long and perfectly clean, like brand new fake wig. There was no dirt or dust. Shiny, super shiny, like a fake wig. You know how the plastic kind of filaments are shiny, almost like
yeah,
fishing line. Like it was the hair on the thing was like monofilament fishing line, but it was colored black. And it was the weird thing about it was kind of shiny with a see-through effect to it. Somehow it just seemed like plastic hair. It didn't look like hair on an animal. It looked too phony. The hair
right,
just seemed synthetic or something. It was so shiny and almost see-through. Weirdest looking hair I ever saw. But this thing, it was hunkered down over that garbage can, and I couldn't see legs or arms or a head. All I saw was its back and this hair. And when I said something, it went airborne. It launched like a bullfrog at like 30 feet,
wow,
and heard it hit the ground a couple times, and then it went off a high embankment and landed on a pile of roofing tin I had. So I could tell how fast it was moving by how long it took to hit that roofing tin, and it was moving. That was no bear running away. This thing
oh
was
no,
way fast. No bear's going to jump 30 feet, and it's not going to cover that ground in that amount of time.
right,
That was another weird deal. Like, what in the world was that? And didn't even see arms or legs.
right.
Like a great big ball of fur. But
It sounds like if it was massive enough to look like 3 trash cans, that sucker was big.
it did fly, man. It never made a sound. It never looked over its shoulder. It never did nothing. And I don't know how it could jump like that without me noticing its legs. You know,
Yeah,
I was just like, when I seen it, I'm like, what in the world is that? And then it was gone.
right. I've got a theory about that, Renee. Uh, you know, I don't know the Paul Freeman footage where you can
Yeah.
you're watching the Bigfoot, then it kind of just it looks like it disappears, then just a second
Hmm.
later it comes back. Some of the researchers have they've sent in hair samples and stuff, and uh, in the hair shafts of the hair that they get, part of it's clear, and so
Uh-huh.
they're kind of thinking that these hair shafts absorb light, and whatever light that they're around, it absorbs it. So I mean, if it was dark outside, uh, the legs could have just looked like they were blending into the rest of the body because of
Yeah,
the hair shafts.
they're so
But
different than anything else out there. Who knows?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on Earth that's like them.
right. I mean, we've had stuff follow us along the bank of the lake, and I mean, you can
Did
hear the
you?
footsteps, and you should be able to shine your light right over there and look at exactly where the footsteps are happening at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you shine your light over there, and there's nothing there. And
Right.
it's almost like, in
They're
my opinion, I
absorbing the
think that
light.
they're absorbing the light. We've had them follow us down down to the right of way where we're thinking they're going to cross the right of way, and they'll just stop. And then when you turn back around, they'll start following you back the other direction. So that they're intelligent, that's for sure.
Oh, I think they're smarter than we are.
I'm sure they are. For them to last in the wild like they do for as long as they have, I mean, because there's reports going back
Oh
centuries.
yeah. Oh yeah. I know. They got they got some church. I think I seen a picture. Some church over in Europe that's got carved in stone. It shows the big hairy man, and they're fighting him.
Yeah,
I think it's in Germany. And they
really.
got, wood carvings from way back then, like 1500s. It shows us hairy monsters over there in Europe.
But
And it
even on
seems
the, go ahead.
that was that Leif Erikson, the guy that came over here from Norway, way before the Pilgrims.
Right.
And I think they landed in Nova Scotia or somewhere up in Canada there. And they said in their writings, they said they run into some giant hairy guys.
Yeah.
And that was way before the Mayflower.
Right. Yeah, they believe the Vikings came here, you know, way before any of the other European settlers got here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, I
Uh,
think even some of them lived. I think some of them lived over here on this continent and stayed here
they could have.
because they've dug up their longhouses and stuff and found some of the places where they were living.
Yeah.
They
Well, I
had to
know.
run into whatever was here. They were running into it because they had to hunt.
Yeah. And I mean, there's countless Native American legends about almost every tribe has a different legend about a giant hairy man kind of creature.
Right. And they tell you pretty much don't mess with them, don't talk about them, don't do anything because you don't want them coming around.
Yeah.
There are lots of stories of women and kids disappearing.
Right. Oh. Yeah, in my opinion, there's this, it would be, much harder to fake something for hundreds of years than to just say, hey, it's actually out there.
Yeah, there wasn't somebody back in the 1500s making plywood cutouts to put on their boots.
No.
That's just there's just way too many stories, of all kinds, and it's everywhere.
Right.
Even the islands out in the Pacific, they got stories of giants that live in the caves and stuff.
Right. Oh,
I
well,
don't
Renee,
think I don't think yeah.
uh, I was just going to ask, have you ever had what you might have thought may have been a dogman experience?
Nothing that would make me think it was one of them, but there's been a couple times it could have been, and I didn't know it because I've never seen the face or the head of one clearly except in my dream. Last year I had a dream. I was sitting in my chair looking out the window, and two of them walked by. One great big black one and a female that was short and brown, and she was just laughing and giggling, like just being silly and following the big guy. And right before they got past the window, the big guy looked over his shoulder at me, just like, "Huh, there you are." And then I went back to the dream I was having, and that ended. But the dream
Really?
disappeared the next morning. I don't remember the dream at all, but I'll never
Yeah.
forget that part where the Bigfoots walked into my dream. I'm thinking they put that on my head. They came into my dream and showed themselves. I
They
think that's
definitely
a
could have.
couple of. I think maybe that's a couple of the locals that have been around here. You know, I've had rock clacking noises at night around here. You know, like whacking two rocks together.
Uh,
Supposedly they do that. You know, like Morse code or something. And then I've had something slap my house one night. It sounded like it was a great big tree just fell on the house. I mean, it shook the whole house.
dang.
And another time, something, I'm a light sleeper, and something came running between my house and my motorhome, and they're not 8 feet apart. And it ran right between my house and my old motorhome, but it was stomping so loud that it woke me up before it got here.
Wow.
Thump, 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 and it ran. I could tell it ran right past the house, and it just kept right on going. And I have a feeling that the things that have went on here has been the same one.
Yeah.
That black one I seen getting in the garbage, I think that was the same one that slapped my house. Same one went running by, and then who knows what's going on with the rock clacking, because they got to be communicating with each other. So there had to have been more than one at that time.
Right. Yeah,
So
we've caught.
I think there's been a few around here, and there's been multiples. You know, fortunately they haven't done any damage or nothing. You know, nothing's been stolen. But after I
That's
got
good.
some dogs, they quit coming around. I think I
Really.
haven't had anything happen since I got some dogs.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't
always
think
heard
they
Bigfoot don't like
like the
dogs.
dogs. Well, I think the dogs rat them out. I think the
Yeah,
dogs can sense them,
I agree.
even if the dog don't see them or smell them. If they're nearby, I think the dogs could tell they're around, and they don't like it.
Yeah, I
They
think
don't like the dogs ratting them out.
I agree 100% on that, bud.
I got a friend down in Arizona. He had one ask him, you know, in mind speak. He
Right.
talks to them sometimes. He talks to a bunch of different ones. He's been dealing with them for a long time. He said one of them asked him, or no, I take it back. It wasn't him. It was a friend I got in Idaho. He had one ask him, why do you people like dogs? And he says, well, dogs are good companions and they'll love you and they're good friends. And the Bigfoot, you know, dogs are no good. He told the Bigfoot, well, you know, what you need to do is you need to go find somebody that has a bunch of puppy one for yourself and see what it's like.
Right.
Female was hanging around his house, and she told him one night, mind speak, come outside and meet me. And he said, I'm afraid. And she was coming around pretty regular and mind speaking with him. And then after he told her he wouldn't come outside, she quit coming around altogether. I think she might have got mad at him.
Yeah.
But he saw one run across his driveway here, was it a month ago or 2 months ago? So they're around down there where
Yeah.
he's at for sure. They I think they know they're safe with him. They trust him, you know. He's not going to call the game warden on him or shoot at him or nothing, because he's just that kind of guy. He would never tell anybody. He won't let me tell anybody. When I talk about him and his Bigfoot experiences, I'm not supposed to tell what part of the state he lives in, you know,
Right.
what his name is, and he protects them.
Good.
He's had a handful of different experiences with them too. But he's first. I mean, he's older than I am. He's mid-70s, and he said he's back in New York when he was a kid. He's seen one broad daylight when he was 16. He was out hunting, and
Really.
he's had quite a few experiences through the years.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He kind of wishes she'd come back around. And he'd apologize for making her mad. He feels bad about it.
Yeah.
He wasn't brave enough to go outside.
I can't say that I would have been either. So
Oh, I don't know how you deal with it. And, how's your mind how's it gonna affect your mind? Because monsters aren't real.
right,
And all of a sudden you get one right in your face, then can you handle that?
it's a good question.
I don't know. You find out one way, I guess. You got to go
Right,
through it. I guarantee you there's people that's had heart attacks and fell over dead when they seen one up close.
you're probably right.
Oh, I guarantee you they've been around forever, and millions of people had to seen them.
Oh yeah,
Somebody with a bad heart seen one of them, that might be his last day.
yeah, you're right. It definitely could have been. As many, I'd really like to know the total number of sightings that have occurred on Earth, because you
There's
don't hear
no way.
about probably even 1% of the actual sightings that have occurred.
Well, nobody wants to call an idiot. People laugh at you
Yeah,
and say you're a liar or you're crazy.
right.
Anymore, I'm old enough. I don't care.
I don't either.
I'll say what I say, and if they don't like it, they can lump it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was on a working on a logging job up by the Canadian border. Oh, must have been about 6, 8 years ago, and I was the last one on the crew to fuel up and leave. And it's getting dark, and it's winter time, and getting dark early quick. And I'm sitting there fueling up, and all of a sudden I got the heebie-jeebies, like there's a cougar sneaking up on me or something, And I'm like, what is looking around? I don't see anything. And then I get looking up the top of the clear cut up on the mountain up there, and I could see this big black thing. I'm like, man, it seems like the heebie-jeebies is coming from right there. And I couldn't get out of there quick enough. It just scared me I don't know why. I was scared. And I got the feeling that whatever was making me scared was standing there watching me at the top of the clear cut. It never did move, so I couldn't tell you if it was a burnt tree or a Bigfoot or dogman or what, but I sure got the feeling it was zeroed in on me right up there.
Right. Yeah, it's no fun being scared when you're out in the woods.
Well, for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like if someone was someone was in the bushes and fired a rifle, and you knew they shot right beside you or something, and you didn't know where they were. That's kind of the feeling, like, oh my God, what
Yeah.
danger,
Danger,
I had another
Will
time.
Robertson.
Yeah. I had another time I got this really strong smell. It was like ammonia when I was in the woods. I was running a machine, and I was backing up up to the corner of the property where there was real thick timber and across the fence. And I'm in an enclosed cab with the heater on in the wintertime, and all of a sudden the cab just stunk like ammonia. Just like, what in the world? There ain't no ammonia in this machine.
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe that's one of them guys giving me the stink somehow. I don't know. I got out of there quick as I could. I didn't like it.
No.
But I never really put none of these things together, what it might be, until I started listening to that. I had a friend ask me one time, do you believe in Sasquatch? And I go like, nah, I got no reason to. And he said,
Right.
well, I've been listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, and you won't believe some of them stories on there. And so I listened to it, and I couldn't quit listening to it then. And the more I'd listen to these different stories of what people had happen, I'm like, that's what happened to me.
Right.
I heard that. I seen that. And 2 and 2 does make 4.
That's
So
true.
I can't prove nothing, but I got a pretty good idea about what's been going on some of these times when these weird things happen. Who it probably was.
Right.
And
That's
there's
what.
all kinds of stories around here. There's a lot of places in not so much in this county, but the neighboring county. Where people paint a black Bigfoot on the side of a building.
Right.
Or they'll make a big plywood cutout and stand it in the yard of a Bigfoot. And there's businesses named Bigfoot Builders and Bigfoot Trucking, and There's all kinds of stuff around here where there, references to Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a from what I've always heard, it's a big thing in like California and Washington and Oregon.
If you ever hear of anybody on the TV news about somebody, saw a Bigfoot run across the road, they always laugh. Like
Yeah.
some moron said they saw a Bigfoot. That's kind of the implication is like somebody said they saw a Bigfoot. Well, they'll put it on the TV. You hear about it
Right.
once in a while. They'll say that. There's a forest fire here a couple years ago that, went inside where I live. I could see the fire, and I ended up working on that fire. And there was some of the firefighters on that fire that was, doing the hand crew stuff. They got a picture of a Bigfoot and two of them looked like a mother and a child, and that was in
Wow.
the paper. I copied that picture. I could send it to you. I don't know if I showed it to you or not, but it's a pretty good picture of two Bigfoots, and it was
Okay, I'd
on
love
that
to see
same
it.
fire. Yeah, they were kind of dark gray, both of them,
Really.
but not gigantic, not really gigantic, but like a built basketball player, but not like a weightlifter or football player or anything.
Right. Now, Renee, do you think there's different like subspecies of Bigfoot? Like, do you think there's more than one type, or do you think most of them look the same?
Well, I think they're just like us. Like we got Mexicans, we got Chinese, we got Africans, we got Europeans. I think they're the same way. I think there's different ones of them that aren't. They got different faces and different. Well, even the hair color. It could be any color.
Right.
Like you have white or gray or black or red hair, whatever. Just like us, humans do.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they?
Exactly.
But one thing I kind of been wondering lately is from some of the stuff I've heard. You hear about them tearing people apart, and some of them got red eyes and some of them don't, and somewhere there's a big difference between some of them and the rest of them. I think that there's some, from what I've heard, the ones with the red eyes are the ones that'll hurt you,
Right.
and I
Right.
I don't think they're the same. I've heard that some of them have more supernatural kind of powers and other ones don't
Right.
have none, have any. Who knows? Everything's a theory,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
who knows? It might be dogmen's the same way. There might be nice dogmen. There might be, killer dogmen. We don't know.
Right.
But, it's just like when you have gangs in the city. They are on the news all the time. You don't hear about the good people on the news.
Right.
But, we hear about the bad ones. We don't hear about the good ones because they're laying low and being cool.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with these cryptids, I think, too, that, there's all kinds of cryptids and there's all kinds of personalities among them. Even in families, there's good ones and bad ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, there's good and bad humans, and I mean, there's good and bad pets. There's good and bad, So why wouldn't
Everything,
there be
yeah.
good? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that from some of the stuff I've heard is, if there's one that's kind of a criminal amongst them, that he's going to do bad stuff that's going to make everybody else look bad, they run him off or kill him.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be doing that here. And another thing that I've heard is that somebody was saying that maybe them bad ones are trying to make them all look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They do things on purpose to frame the other ones because they don't get along. They're just
Yeah.
trying to do things and then shift the blame on the other guys. But the good ones and the bad ones, they all get the blame for whatever the
Right.
bad ones are doing, But you hear about them pulling people out of a river or, an avalanche or something, saving their life.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a lot of good ones, I think.
I agree.
I bet you there's more good ones than there is bad ones.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, because if if there wasn't, with all these encounter stories we hear, then
A lot more
there would
dead
be
people.
lot more dead people. Yeah.
Yeah, tore up RVs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you hear about, they rock camp trailers and stuff, and punch the wall, and mobile homes and stuff, knock them off their foundation and stuff. But they could just come right through the wall and get you and kill you if they wanted to.
Oh yeah.
There'd be no stopping them. Even any regular stick built house, they could go right through the wall.
Oh yeah.
There's no stopping them. But there's got to be some kind of rules and regulations where they control their population and keep them from causing trouble on everybody else. It's got to be.
Oh yeah.
Or there'd be a war between the humans and the Bigfoots many times, and it'd be public knowledge.
Yeah.
They got their society and their rules and regulations where they try to keep everybody out of trouble and not bother the humans and not try to use us to for survival. They stay separate and stay safe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they don't want the whole human population knowing that they're out there, because that would mean that, it could mean a different number of things, but it could mean their demise if they were to find out. So.
Well, if they all of a sudden the government came out and said, "Yeah, they're real. We've been lying to you all the time," I bet you there'd be a whole bunch of people go hunting for them.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I guarantee you, there's people that are do it anyway. Here, not very many probably, but there's some. And who knows if you never hear about them because they may not survive the hunt.
I'd say most of them that if they wanted to go to war with them, they probably wouldn't survive. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to have the military to really do anything, I think.
Yeah.
Just some people on horseback or whatever probably wouldn't come home alive.
Yeah.
If they got to screaming and hollering and calling in all their buddies, you would never last an hour.
I agree.
I don't want to know. I don't ever want to know.
I don't want to have to find that out. Oh, well, Renee, you care if I ask you a few questions about your encounter?
Yeah, go ahead.
These are going to seem kind of monotonous, but I'm going to ask. I'm just asking.
Well, you might trigger another memory of something I didn't tell you yet, too.
That's true. Hey, you said you were in Northern California, right? Because we kind of cut out whenever you were explaining where it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. That's close to Mount Lassen.
Cool.
That's a big old volcano.
Really? Do you remember what type of car you were driving at the time, or vehicle?
Yeah, it was a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen. Oh.
Yeah.
About how fast were you going when you realized that something was happening?
Speed limit 55.
55.
Yeah, I never had time to slow down or hit the brakes at all. It was so fast. That thing came down off of that embankment so fast it was almost a blur.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, oh, boom. That moved faster than anything no bear could ever run that fast.
No, I agree with you 100% there. And plus, like you said, it would be laying on the ground nursing some sort of wound.
Oh, yeah, they'd have a broken shoulder, I think. If I hit it, I think whatever it was I hit him in the left shoulder.
Yeah.
Spun him around and caught his hind end on the door, caved the door in, and his butt hit right on the door frame and bent the door frame back, and the door almost didn't shut after that.
That's crazy.
And whatever it was, it pooped all down the side of the car.
It pooped down the side of the car. Oh, you literally knocked the poop out of him. Oh.
Yeah, I did. And I never even, I figured that must have been a bear, But then later on, I got thinking, well, bears can't run. No bear's going to run like that. I bet a bear couldn't run 45 miles an hour.
Right. Now, when that thing was barreling down the hill, could you tell at all how tall or how wide it was?
No, I just instinct told me to get over and get away from it because it was coming so fast, man. I knew it was going to get me.
Yeah.
and it was gunning for me. You know, it wasn't just running straight down the hill. It was coming at an angle. And it was running the same direction I was running, but at an angle.
Gotcha.
And it really smashed in the front fender and the trunk and the door frame. This car wasn't really fixable after that.
Man. This has been one of the most interesting encounters I've heard. That's a really cool. I mean, it wasn't cool for you at the time because it messed your car up, but it's an interesting account.
Yeah, I kind of think it was the same bunch from where we were logging, because it was like 5, 6, 7 miles as the crow flies. And I think them things, I think once they get you zeroed in, they can find you anywhere you go.
That's true.
I think they have a way of tagging you.
You hear all the time about people being followed home in encounter stories.
Right.
Now, could you make out any sort of a... Go ahead.
Could have been a whole tribe of them living in there that were mad, you know?
Yeah. Definitely could have been.
And they were telling all their buddies about it.
Yeah. Like, hey, watch those guys over there. Now, can you make out any sort of shape, you know, any sort of a being that most of us would recognize as Sasquatch when it was coming down the hill towards you?
I couldn't. Whatever it was kind of had its head down while it was running. You know, a bear would have its head up and looking where it's going. This thing kind of looked like it had its head down.
Right.
And if they didn't, you know, they say the Sasquatch don't really have a neck, so that would kind of make it look like its head wasn't sticking out much. You know, and if it had its head down at all, it would almost look like it didn't have a head.
Yeah.
I didn't really see a head sticking up or nothing. I just seen shoulders and hips and a barrel body and looked like dark brown hair.
Gotcha.
And them legs were moving. That I can't believe that thing come up. It's like something on a rail, you know, just zip down that hill. It was moving faster than my car.
You were going 55 miles an hour, so.
Oh yeah, it had to be going faster than that.
That's nuts how fast that thing was going. Could you tell about how far it was from your car whenever it was heading down the hill from you, towards you?
Oh,
like how?
60, 70 feet when I first seen it, maybe.
Yeah, so it made distance quickly.
If it wasn't for that all being bare dirt, I probably wouldn't have seen it. But there was just nothing but bare dirt, and it stood out against that dirt, you know, in the headlights.
Now, when it flashed in front of your headlights, could you tell what color it was? You may have said that already. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it kind of looked like dark brown to me.
Dark brown.
I only saw it for just like half a second.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I'm going to crash this car and maybe roll the car or whatever. You know, I was like freaking out.
Yeah, so you were paying more attention to your car more than likely than you were whatever.
Well, I was getting ready for the impact, you know, and try to control the car afterwards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like swallow your Adam's apple. All of a sudden, oh no!
Right. Let's talk about the trash can incident real quick. And I'm kind of leaning towards you with that. I think it was more than likely a Bigfoot, because a bear would have left scratch marks and teeth marks all over that trash can.
Oh yeah, it would have been all scratched up.
All right.
Plus, it wouldn't have never jumped 30 feet through the air.
Yeah, a bear couldn't jump that high.
You'd see the legs pedaling when it ran away.
Yeah.
And it would probably look over its shoulder at you at least once. You know?
Right.
Because I had porch light on, I had a flashlight, and this thing was just like a bullfrog jumping. It was gone. Like that, wow. That's not a bear. You'd see a bear's legs working and the bear running off. This thing went airborne. But it had the
Excuse me.
weirdest hair. You wouldn't, if you saw hair like that, you'd be going, "That's synthetic.
Yeah.
That's not real hair."
That's kind of why I was saying what I did earlier about the hair shafts. That kind of makes sense. If it, it almost
It
looks
was,
fake, but that could have been what you were seeing was
yeah, that was one thing that really impressed on my mind at that time the most was that hair's not right. It's weird. It's kind of like you could see through it too. It was black, but you could kind of see through it. It was weird.
that
And
that makes total sense.
it didn't look sparse or anything. It looked real thick. But I don't think there's very much about these creatures that isn't strange. They're
I
so
agree.
different.
All right, the big question now, Renee, that everybody asks: what do you think these things are?
That is a $64,000 question because nobody that I know has ever got to ask them. What are you? And that's the only way you're going to know is if they tell you.
Right.
And from everything I've heard and read, that they beat around the bush on anything that's going to nail them down as far as almost who they are, what they are, their abilities. They don't answer you. You got to figure it out for yourself. And people got all kinds of different ideas, and I listen to it all. You got an idea, give it to me, because it
Right.
might click. It might just click with something I already know. Like I don't say anybody's full of baloney when they start telling me what they think about these things, or it's like maybe, but I, there's so many people have said this, that, or the other thing that contradict, like people have said they've hit them with a semi and killed them, and they're laying there on the ground dead. And then another one comes and takes it or something.
Right.
And, but other people say, well, they're not from this dimension. They have to change their vibration or something to become a solid creature in our dimension. And if they're killed, then they quit, purposely staying in our dimension, and they just automatically go, dead body goes back. Or, well, who knows who's right? Who knows?
That's
There
true.
could be other theories come up later that are totally different, and that one's right.
Yeah.
So I don't discount what anybody says. I'm like, take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, I can't prove
Right.
nothing, and neither can they. But the more people that share stories, the more clues we put together, the more sense it makes, and the more we can realize what's really going on. It's
Right.
Witnesses are the only way we're going to learn anything.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the more stories that get told, we'll not call them stories. The more encounters that get told, I mean, that's just one more, piece of
Clues,
one more clue to what actually is going on. So,
right? Well, people have spread a lot since the internet. A lot of information has become public, and there people are writing books too. That there's some good stuff in some books too. That
yeah.
people that have dealt with them for years, like that Janice Carter. I think she's from Kentucky. She wrote a book, 50 Years with Bigfoot, and that is not in print anymore. But she lived with him from when she was a little girl and until now. She's met lots and lots and lots of them. She knows
Right.
all if they leave in little stick glyphs on the ground or things leaned up in the trees or whatever. She knows what it all means. She knows a lot of their language because she's interacted with them so much. And
Right.
there's a bunch of different YouTube channels where they've interviewed her, and very interesting to listen to her.
Yeah, I'll
She,
have to look.
oh, you gotta, Janice Carter.
Janice Carter.
Yeah, I think it was her. She was living with her grandparents when she was little, and her grandfather felled a tree that had a young Bigfoot in it, and
Wow.
they nursed him. They nursed him back to health and made friends with him and his family, and they got to know all kinds of different Bigfoots that lived around there. Even they had one that was related to the one that got hurt in the tree, I think it was his after the one that the one that got hurt in the tree was named. They named him Fox,
Gotcha.
and he had a son named Blackie. And the word is that Blackie raped a human girl and got her pregnant, and that girl went insane.
Wow.
And Blackie was bad. All the Bigfoots said he was bad. The people said he was bad, and he wasn't allowed to interact around with nobody around there no more after he did that. As far as I know, anyway. I haven't heard anything. I'd like to get my hands on that book.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a good book.
She ever puts it back into print, it'll sell like hotcakes.
Oh yeah.
I think it's called 50 Years with the Bigfoots or something to that effect. And she's been interviewed a bunch of times, and some woman named Mary Green, her and Janice got together and made the book. And Mary's dead now, but Janice is still around, and she is on people's Bigfoot shows now and then, telling the stuff that she learned. She is a wealth of knowledge. You got to look her up. You got to look her up. She's really down to earth person. It's no baloney, just really, really good people.
Yeah, I definitely will look her up.
I couldn't imagine, growing up with them in the neighborhood. You're spending your whole life from when you're just a little kid till now. And everywhere she goes, she runs into them.
Yeah.
She could go to California or Alaska or anywhere. She could find them real fast. She just seems to sense where they're at.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Some people have had some crazy encounters that never end.
That's for sure. Well,
But
Renee, do you have a? Go
they're
ahead.
kind of like another Indian tribe, I think. That's just how you have to treat them, like they're just a tribe of wild Indians.
Yeah.
And they respect them,
Right. Well, Renee, do you have any other encounters you'd like to talk about, or?
The only other thing I can think of right off the top of my head is the mountain range between here and the next county over. I was going to work one night over that 4:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, going around a corner, and these two big orange eyeballs were looking at me down by the pavement level.
Right.
And on a corner, I was going around the right-hand corner, and if I went straight, I'd go right off over an embankment down over the mountain. And this thing was standing down there over the edge of the mountain, looking at me, whatever it was. And them eyeballs had to have been 8 inches apart and twice the size of a golf ball. Dang. Easily. And they're glowing orange, bright orange. And when I started going around that corner, my headlights got off of it. And them orange eyes was still orange. They weren't reflecting off my headlights. And it turned sideways and started running. And I got a side view of it, and the orange eyes bouncing as it ran off. Yeah. So I know them eyes were glowing on their own. It wasn't from my headlights.
Kind of giving me the goosebumps, Renee.
And I ain't seen no deer or bear or nothing like that. It could do that.
No. Gave me the goosebumps.
Yeah, I was kind of creeped out about it. Like, whoa, what was that? And if your headlights are shining in something's eyes and they're reflecting, well, that's normal. But when the lights come off of it and they're still glowing, woo, what is that? Is that a demon or something? Its eyes are like lit up.
Right.
It's scary because your brain knows right away that ain't right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not any animals that I know of that just can emit eye shine without having the light.
I think there's things in the ocean that do.
Yeah. There might be stuff down there.
Down, in the deep ocean.
Right.
Seems to me I've read that there's illuminated creatures and things with glowing eyes and stuff down there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With never daylight.
No. Well, whenever that thing was running sideways, could you just see the eyes, or could you see the profile of a face or anything?
No, no, it was too dark. All I could see was the glowing eyes.
Gotcha. Well,
We
that's scary enough.
had a doctor. I live up on a ridge, and we had a doctor and his wife bought this cabin on the ridge down toward the end of the ridge, and they only owned that property about a year, and they sold out of there because the doctor seen a Bigfoot on the property.
Really?
I don't know if that's the reason they sold it, but she told me that her husband seen one over there. And
I
down on the
wonder.
flat down below, I was talking to one of the women down there, and she said her two sons saw two Bigfoots down there on the flat. Some I don't know when.
Really?
It's all timber down there, you know.
Right.
I'm like 10 miles out of town, but most people ain't going to tell you nothing. If they see something, they ain't going to tell you nothing because they don't want you telling everybody what they saw and being laughed at by everybody here
Right.
or whatever, you know. So, I'm with you. I think it's a small percentage of people that actually see one are going to say anything
I think so.
because it's nothing but trouble.
Right.
You know, you're
I mean,
just
like,
causing grief to yourself if you tell anybody.
yep. Like
So,
I've had lots of encounters with what I believe is Bigfoot, but I've never put anything out on the BFRO or anything like that. So there's no telling how many people like me haven't reported their encounters. So.
yeah, well, there's some weird stories. I know a guy down in Oregon. He said he was up on a mountain where there's no trails and no roads hunting, and something came down through the brush. It sounded just like a Harley Davidson.
Wow.
It was making motorcycle sounds, and there's no way you could get up on there with a dirt bike, you know, let
Right.
alone a Harley. There's just too much brush and steep ground. You couldn't ride a motorcycle of any kind.
Right.
And I've heard of people saying they've heard like forklift backup alarms way in the mountains where there's no road. All
Wow.
kinds of weird sounds. I heard somebody talking in some strange language last year in the woods over here at night next to my place, and it kind of sounded a little bit maybe European, but nothing I ever heard. You know, I've heard German and Russian and all the different things, you know, on videos and stuff, and like not the same, but a little bit like that.
Did it
But
almost
just
sound like
one time.
did it sound like samurai chatter?
Nope, not at all. Nothing like that. It
Gotcha.
sounded like two big guys talking in some weird language, but it wasn't
Hmm.
nothing I ever heard before.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, that's pretty
I
cool.
went in the house. I went back in the house and got a coat and a flashlight, and I went walking out there, and there's a road down below where that noise was, and I walked out there a ways, and I got thinking, yeah, I should have brought a gun. I better get back to the house.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if I'd have went out there, but I mean,
Well,
sometimes you
I
got to
just
check.
yeah, I just wanted to know what the heck's going on out there. Who's out there? But it
Right.
wasn't no language I ever heard before. So maybe it was some of them standing around chewing the fat. I don't know.
It definitely could have been. That's what it kind of sounds like to me.
I had my daughter had a couple of horses up here a few years back, and something was in the brush snorting at the horse, the bigger horse, and they were snorting back and forth to each other. But this thing, it sounded like it was way bigger than the horse, the snorting it was making.
Yeah.
But it couldn't have been a deer. It was just sounded way too big, or even an elk. It just sounded big,
Yeah.
like way louder than a horse. And I'm like, that's got to be a big deer.
Yeah. It sounded like it was coming from a big set of lungs.
Yeah, yeah. It was back in the brush where you couldn't see it.
Right. Oh.
I've never heard
Well,
any of the wood knocks or nothing like that until like a week ago.
really?
And I've been here like 20 years at this spot. But I was outside 9 o'clock in the morning working on my fence, and I heard two knocks that sounded like a couple axe handles being hit together out in the timber. And
Really?
that was it. That was it. The first time I've ever heard any kind of wood noises like that ever. But, I've been running logging equipment for 40 years. So, usually there's so much noise going on, you ain't going to hear anything anyway.
Right.
If I had a job over here on the other in Idaho, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, where all the skid trails, and it's steep, real steep. There was trees pulled over like an arch over the trails. Lots and lots of them. I had to go down through there, up and down every trail, and cut all them stinking things down before I could fall timber. Because if you hit them, then it'd guide your tree off in the bushes somewhere, Your tree wouldn't land in the trail. It'd hit that curved tree and slide down it and go somewhere you didn't want it to. So I had to walk up and down those trails, cutting all of bent over trees. And I've never seen that in the mountains anywhere else except that one piece of property. And the guy that owned it was the guy I worked for, and he had a cabin up there. It was an abandoned cabin, was on the property when he bought it. And we went in there and it stunk. And he said,
Really?
"Yeah, there are bears come in here." Well, I don't know about bears. Might not have been bears.
Right.
And there's other people over in that part of that county that have seen them.
Really?
Yeah. There's one woman, she's a native woman. She's had a bunch of experiences around here. She lived right over there, not far from there. And she's got a YouTube channel called Sasquatch Sisters. And she's talked about a bunch of the stuff that's went on over there around her place and other stuff. She's run into them down in Texas and up here in Washington, and she's got all kinds of stories too. But one other one I was going to tell you is, I don't know, was it 2021? I think I was working on a job over there in Idaho. It was some real steep ground where they use a yarder to pull the logs, to pull the whole tree up the mountain to the landing, on a cable.
Right.
And you just run the chokers down and pull the trees up back and forth like that. Well, I don't know why, and I've never seen it before or since. They were logging in total darkness. They didn't have any lights on any of their equipment. Now, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
You had to have a headlamp. They wouldn't allow anybody to turn any lights on that logging job. And I think it may be because the Bigfoots were throwing stuff at them when they turned the lights on, because why would you be running equipment in the dark like that?
No, I don't know.
That's weird. Like, for some reason, I'm going to have to ask that guy when I see him again. Why in the world didn't you allow anybody to have lights?
Right.
Because the yarder was pulling trees up in the dark. Processors processing after daylight, and a truck wouldn't come in till daylight to get logs. Normally, you got the yarder would be running lights, the loader would be running lights, the processor would be running lights, truck would be sitting there in the dark, getting loaded in the dark. None of that happened. It was like,
wow,
weird. And one of the guys that was setting chokers down in the bottom, he was telling me that there was people sneaking around behind the trees watching them while they were working down there.
Wow.
And the timber faller was saying, "Oh, that's just some loggers from down the mountain spying on us." Nobody's going to come and spy on you in the dark. They got their own work to be doing.
Right.
What do they care what you're doing?
Exactly.
And then the other choker setter that told me about that, he said he found this big hollowed out spot under this cottonwood tree with a whole bunch of branches piled over it.
Huh.
And he said he believed it was Bigfoots that was watching him down there. And he quit like a week later. He quit. He said, I'm not going down there.
I've had enough of this.
Well, working in the dark like that, and the Bigfoots are right there, tree peeking, and that's another on state land in Idaho where it's gated off and nobody can get in there,
Right.
And a brand new road into virgin timber where nobody ever been logged, not virgin timber, but nobody been in there in 100 years probably.
Right.
There was no good roads built in there. And them Bigfoots, I think, was paying a lot of attention to what was going on there. And I think the reason they were running in the dark was because they might have been having stuff thrown at them when they turned the lights on or something.
Good possibility.
And nobody wanted to say anything because they didn't want to lose the job.
Yep.
Get shut down. So everybody just kept quiet and tried to be as at less, less of a harassment to the neighborhood. Turn the
Yeah.
lights off and don't try not to bother the Bigfoots.
Yeah.
I got to
Being
talk
a,
to that guy when I see him again. He's a friend of a friend. I'll definitely be seeing him before too long. I'm going to
yeah.
have to ask him about that, what the deal was, because he told me he was hunting down in Idaho with another guy, and they saw a Bigfoot run out across the field or something. He said, "Oh yeah, he's seen him a couple times,"
Yeah.
but he never said nothing about there being any on that job. And I think a lot of stuff goes on that people just keep their mouth shut so they don't get shut down.
Yeah.
Like if you seen a
Uh,
spotted owl and the forester knew about it, they'd have to stay out there and they'd shut the job down and move you out of there.
oh yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, that's one I forgot to tell you before. Was that on that logging job, working in the dark? That was really strange. There's like
Yeah.
nobody does that.
I've never heard of that before, but yeah, that's pretty strange. Oh,
But unless you start reasoning on these things, like, well, that's really weird, and then you don't think about it much anymore. Like, I don't know why they did that.
yeah.
Like, well, there had to be a reason. What? Nobody works in the dark,
Right.
but no lights. Headlamps. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's what they did. I got hurt on that
I,
job,
def-
so I wasn't there very long.
I definitely wouldn't want to do it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it very long because I got stinking yarder dropped the cable on the ground, and there was a whole lot of slash, and I got trying to run away from that cable before he lifted it up, and the processor wasn't keeping the slash cleaned out of there, and the stinking thing flipped me up in the air and hurt my back, and I didn't do nothing for a year then.
Man, sorry to hear that, buddy.
Yeah, well, stuff happens. That's why insurance, for loggers, if you're on the ground outside of a machine, your insurance on you is the exact same amount as your wages.
Really?
So if you're running a saw or anything on the ground where you're outdoors, you're not inside a machine, insurance is extremely expensive.
Right.
A lot of guys get hurt. So
Yeah.
everybody anymore, their crew is pretty much all mechanized. You stay in the machine all day, you know.
Yeah.
But with yarder logging, somebody's got to be hooking them logs up and unhooking them at the top. And so you can't get out of it. There's got to be people on the ground.
Right. Oh, that definitely makes sense. Oh,
Well, I knew I'd come up with we talked enough. I'd come up with another story I forgot to tell you.
man, I've enjoyed it. I really have. I want to
Well,
thank you for coming on the show.
well, I appreciate it. The chance to share my stories. I know it might make sense to some people that are scratching their heads still, not knowing what they seen, or
Right.
maybe
Hundred
something like
percent.
happened to them too, and they haven't figured out what's going on yet. I can't prove nothing. That's what I
Yeah.
think. That's what I think. A lot of these
Yep.
things you can't prove. You just know it. You just know. I know that's what the heck happened.
Right.
Couldn't be nothing else.
That's
That thing
true.
that jumped 30 feet wasn't no bear. Guarantee you that.
No, ain't no bear gonna jump 30 feet.
And I don't think a bear would have 6 inches long hair either.
No.
It looked just like fishing line almost. It was like see-through plastic monofilament or like a
Right.
fake wig. It was just really strange.
I think you were seeing those clear hair shafts. Is what you were seeing.
Yeah, it was weird. It really made an impression on me. That hair was just too weird. Like,
Yeah.
what? It was like a giant wig just jumped out of my yard.
Yeah. Well, you've had some really cool experiences, Renee.
Well, so far, it ain't over yet.
That's true. And you've got an open invitation to come back on the show anytime you want to.
Yeah, well, if I have anything weird happen again, I'll definitely let you know.
All right. I appreciate it. Oh well, Renee. we're going to start winding things down here. If you want to wait in the lobby, I'll be right back, and I'm going to take you off the screen real quick and say my goodbyes, and I'll be with you in just 1 second.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, brother.
You betcha.
Well, guys, talk about an awesome show. Renee had some really awesome encounters. Just want to thank him again for coming on the show. And guys, if you've had any sort of encounter whatsoever, even if you think it's not significant, I promise you it is, because it takes all the pieces to put a puzzle together. And just want to thank everybody for watching. And once again, thank our veterans and our first responders and our police officers. And guys, until next time, if anybody wants to come on the show, you just email us at that email scrolling across the bottom at boonecountycryptids@gmail.com. And guys, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.